episode of Big Talk. Karibu sana. And today we're literally going to have a conversation enye kila mtu anaongeleanga. Why are all politicians perceived as corrupt? Na isi Kenya peke yake. I was literally sitting down and I'm like, ngoja. Ni wa Kenya tu tuko na hii culture, or is it just Africa as a whole, or globally, like sisi dunia tu mzima, all politicians have to be corrupt? Like, is it an innate nature of all politicians when you're just elected like this, like lazima tukue corrupt? I mean, there's a time when when I'm asking my nduthi guys or just people on the ground of what talk corrupt. One particularly akaniambia, guess what, ni venyewe hujafika hapo, wewe hujaguza hiyo pesa, wewe hujaona hiyo do, hata mimi nitachota ati 2 billion. Anasema hata mimi kama 10k inanisumbua, sasa 2 billion ikiwa niko in charge mimi nitamaliza. Akaniambia, wewe Charlotte, jua tu hata ukifika hapo pia utakuwa corrupt. So Oscar, karibu again.
Thank you so much.
Can you repeat your name again for
Oscar Ortega is my name.
Yes. Yeah. So tunaenda kuongelea literally, is it just a natural instinct that when you become a leader in, specifically in Africa and Kenya, you're naturally corrupt?
Okay. I think you have to look at it this way. Most leaders who have come into power because in Africa, independence started from 1957, like Sub-Saharan. Tunasemanga Sub-Saharan, so that's Africa for us.
Melanin.
Not the melanin tone, and that started from Ghana. And you find the people who actually came into power first are the one who set the pace. You get? As a child, ukiwa mtoto, kitu ya kwanza you imitate who most of the times? Your parent. Ukiona parent wako akiinua mkono utaanza kuinua. You find that, okay, also I can lift my hand. Exactly. So you find when the first people who actually came into government, like for Sub-Saharan Africans in the 60s and early 70s, because most of us got our independence in the 60s.
Yeah, 60s.
You find all of our founding fathers had the opportunity to actually set the pace for us. You get? Because first of all, you're a new country. Money is coming in donations from other countries because now you're recognized by the US, by these global developed powers and your colonial masters. Money is now coming in. And you find, the moment you get into power, remember most of them came from very poor backgrounds. Like 90% of them came from very... Nothing. So this person has grown in leadership, has went to one of the best schools all over the world, became a leader.
Yeah.
Point taken, good. But there's a saying that goes, you can take the ghetto, you can go out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of them. So you can also become rich, but don't take the poverty mindset out of you. So you find when they get to power, they say, I have struggled all this while, it is now my time to kujitibu.
So swali.
Yeah.
Do you think that like even translate to like all governments? Kwa sababu kumbuka, when in 2013, I was 13, guys. Ooh, 2013, when President Ruto, and I mean, currently now President Ruto and former President Uhuru, right, when they're coming into power, I remember in my living room, what wakisema, they're giving these people because Uhuru amezoea pesa, amelelewa kwa do, right, yako sawa. Mbona tukapata opposite?
Opposite in the sense, but technically, Uhuru never stole. It's the people who under him who stole. Because there's no news. Let's be factual. Let's get our facts right.
Okay.
Yes, he was head of government. However, the scandals that happened under his ministry and people he actually appointed. So you find the problem wasn't necessarily him, it was the people who were under him.
I have another question just to tie in there. But this is what I know, especially when you're putting people under you, and especially within the cabinet, the ministers, right? Most of it is just reward of loyalty. True. Right? They're actually very
political loyalty,
oblivious of what the ministries do. Most of them ulikuwa supportive, now let me give you this position. So naturally, I can say that even as a leader, like you didn't know these people are corrupt when you're putting them. Because most of them, even in previous governments, have had scandals, have had corruption cases before they were even put as cabinet secretaries. So you can't tell me that it's just like ni watu tu chini yangu ndio wanaweza iba stuff na mimi sijui. Basi ni uongo. That's just like
it's giving cringy and
it's the ghetto.
But you also find that unajipata in a situation of some of them are not corrupt. but they found a culture of corruption in that place.
Yeah.
So unapata when they're getting like kickbacks, you're telling you this tender is coming, and then like a perfect example, like unasikia tender inakam, maybe the tender is supposed to be, let me give an example for the expressway. The expressway originally, when the concept was being made, the expressway was supposed to cost the Kenyan taxpayer 27 billion Kenyan shillings. Unakumbuka venye ikatolewa the plan, the makofi and everything, and then when it was completed, we came to find out that it actually costed us 64 billion Kenyan shillings. Just a 27 kilometer mile. So you're finding in that process of like tendering, kulikuwa tuna kickbacks.
Of course.
Unapata msa lingia ngapo na a very clear heart, oh I'm integral, sijui nini, but you find that your job is being threatened.
Yeah.
So unapata they start measuring, ni integrity yangu nitaweka ama ni pesa yangu ndakula kana nimejikata hapa. They end up choosing.
And I think that's just a bad notion, because now what's when a vie na wanataka kuingia government, their notion or their mindset is not to actually elevate their fellow Kenyans. It's just to, I have seen before pesa watu wamechota and I'm going to chota for myself as well. I think that's just a bad mindset, because now for us as younger generation, Gen Z and below, who are actually passionate about coming into these positions of government, when you want to do it the right way, unapata tu kuna, so to say, ngombe tu mwingine hapo pia mwingine hapo mwenye anakuambia like, you have to give me something. And you're like, sir, I'm just a child. I'm just children. I don't know if you've seen that meme. But yeah, something like that. And it actually hurts my heart that they're actually genuine people. They're actually genuine people who love the Lord and are in positions of power and want to bring change. But now, because, and I think we should also dwell in this, I think corruption has become so part of the Kenyan culture, is because imekuwa, I think, systematically maybe from the Jomo's government. Like, imekuwa so deep that we have such deep roots all the way from the national government, all the way from the president's office to the chiefs. So it's our culture. Like, ni culture yetu kama jinsi tunapenda chai, ni culture yetu as corruption. So I think we also need to ask ourselves, like kuna alternative of that? Is there a solution to that? And just to give an example, a few countries in Africa have also tried to kufunga wase. I think we're having a conversation with Oscar with, I think it's Japan or China. Yeah, like let's give an answer to ilete home. No sisema ati ni vitu za nje kabisa. Tulete home. Like in Africa, a country in West Africa, Mauritania, the former president was called Abdel Aziz. That guy was last year, literally, after he actually got out of power, he was actually jailed for 5 years in prison. This is a former president, a former head of state. He was jailed for 5 good years for money laundering and illicit enrichment. So you find the problem in Kenya, and also let me give another example, like for Jacob Zuma. But for Jacob Zuma, we can't, like I usually say, like justice wasn't served that well, because now he has a political party and is actually trying to still run for the president. Come back. But the South African government tried and actually put him on house arrest for a couple of months. Yes. You understand? But now the problem that we have in Kenya is, even from the first government, and I think this is the biggest mistake they ever did, even like for Uhuru, before when he was in president, that you find scandals have come out. Okay, you say there are going to be investigations. See, that's what they usually tell us. Those investigations run for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, and then no one is jailed. Like everyone knows money was stolen. Literally, even the court, even the money was stolen. And then the ACC comes and says that, oh, we are recovering this. But you find in other countries that is actually worked, like China, that you say that it's brutal street against human rights, but it actually works. They actually hang you. They actually hang you, literally. Do you think that can work in Kenya?
It can work if actually the justice system because now corruption is, the worst place that corruption can go to is the justice system. I had some funny things really happen within the judicial system in Kenya. Like, it's just ghetto after ghetto. Yeah, you find like judges have been bribed money, not cheap money. Let me ask you this: how come somebody can swindle over billions of shillings of money, over $1 billion shillings of money, sent to jail? I won't name names. Sent to jail and then come out and then they're told that he was jailed illegally. Yeah. But you steal something from. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen some people from
Yeah.
Western kuiba tu kuku jamani.
You're taken for
Kuku tu.
2 years in prison.
Waluya surely kuku tu wameumizwa tu hivyo.
Exactly.
Mtu amejailiwa I don't know how many years.
And you find that the problem is what we have in Kenya is we have politicians, we have our leaders just talking about you're going to end corruption, but there's no physical change solution to it.
Yeah.
And you're not just sitting here saying that you're complaining about it. It's our solution that you're giving is empower the justice system to be uncorruptible.
Absolutely.
Employ more judges. Build more structures in the justice system that judges cannot be corrupted.
Yeah.
To the point that even if somebody dares to do that, it's even a much more clear and actually even much more worse sentence that they get, because you find countries that want first of all, Kenya is under the UN, we are classified as a middle income country.
To improve. Tulitolewa huko.
We are and you can't tell me for us to become a developed country and to become in lead not just in East Africa but all over Africa, corruption has to be there. It has to die. And the only way it can die is actually taken seriously in terms of this leader. If you're found, be jailed.
Mimi naona tu hivi.
Yeah.
And I think for us, corruption has become such an innate nature that ni sisi tu, like ni kama you're Kenyan na kuna blood hapa stream imeandikwa corruption. Like I literally feel like that, and I feel like, sorry to say this, but I feel like I think tunafaa kuweka hanging because iwe mwingine, I'm sorry to say, I think kunafaa kuwa tuna example of like you have done this, this needs to happen, because we are so numb. There's, I think I don't know if it's 5 or 3 years ago, but I was watching Yvonne Okwara and she was explaining on the Explainer. Maybe rates and ndasema na maybe it's different, but she was explaining the difference between a million and a billion to show how as Kenyans tumekuwa numb. Msa akisema umse amepita na 5 billion. Right? Because tumekuwa tunumb like 5 billion iende. And she was explaining how if you're given 1 billion and you use 10,000 Kenyan shillings every single day of your life, like every day lazima uanze 10k, it will last you 273 years to finish a billion, a B. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe the rates are different from now. But I think ekwa mbali sana. But I'm just giving you the necessity and the heaviness of a billion is a lot of money. And I think as Kenyans tumekuwa numb to ule aliiba, okay, sawa, cool. Tunajua kuna kitu itamfanyikia. And that's the sad part. Where there are actually people who, when you're maumia, who have been raped, who have been killed, and justice inakaa. I know like wazes who have died because shamba yao ilikuwa na shida, they went to court and nothing has happened particularly and they've died. So I don't know how that case is going to happen. And I think just to give an example, I think of African countries, like are we sharing just that DNA of lazima tukue na corrupt leaders, na ni corrupting ina taina aibu, at least tukue na aibu kidogo. Like usichote kila kitu, like usichote ya healthcare, usichote za barabara, like truly, like you know.
But you find out also in terms of even if they steal, for me the consequence really matters.
Absolutely.
Because you become numb knowing I will do this and nothing will actually happen to me. Let me give you an example. Justice Maraga, former Justice Maraga, before he actually left office, he said there's a politician who came and told him, I have stolen this money and you will not do anything to me. Face to face. He told the
like,
Chief Justice. He told the Chief Justice that, and I'll actually get away with it. And this is the last line of defense that
I hope una watch you wewe.
Exactly. So you find it's a place of how China, let me give you like President Xi Jinping from the Chinese People's Republic. When he came into power, people were skeptical about him because corruption at that place was so high. So what he did, he went and amended the law and actually put in the death sentence. Yes, it's cruel, but it works.
Absolutely.
Because you find most government officials who are found who are actually corrupt, most of them went to jail, sentenced to death. And for the last 10 years, you can't compare China before 2013.
Oh, you can't.
And China before 2013 and China at 2024.
That's true.
Those are two different nations. Because one, you have a leader who actually took stern action and actually taking out this root problem. Because you find
not me.
Ni kama usually say from bottom up. But acha nikuambie, mtu mdogo akijua kona haki ni paka ataona samaki mkubwa akishikwa. You get? Paka samaki mkubwa akishikwa atajua pia mimi naweza pata haki. Si methali ya Oscar.
Okay.
You get?
Sawa.
Sawa. Okay. But you find until these big people who actually caught, sentenced into prison and big names and actually they stand action to it. Trust you me, our children will also grow up doing the same things.
Yeah.
It will be sad for us even as Gen Z. We want to go into these offices and everyone perceives us to be corrupt just because we want to bring change into our nation.
Yeah, and I think also I think how corruption I think has worked well in Kenya is because najua nikipata indo, power comes with money, right?
Yeah.
And money can get me anything that
And
I
anywhere.
want, and any service,
Yeah.
and any person I would want to murder, that can happen under. So zingine nashanganga, I don't know if you ever looked, sometimes I was just like, I look at people and politicians who have been, some even in Jomo's government, up to now, still want to join the government. I'm like, mzee, haujachoka. Like, you need to take care of your grandchildren. Like, that's not just something, like, why are you still wanting to steal more? Because haikuwa inanimekia sense until I understood why corruption works. It's because it protects me from a lot of things. And just power inakuingia. Like, wanasemanga power ikiingia hapa, it's just over.
And you find also corruption is not just in huge governmental positions.
Oh, yeah.
It's uko chini when you do a mistake on the road and then a police comes and tells you I want to fine you 10,000. Alafu mwambie acha nikupatie 2,000. Exactly. So if you want to actually change corruption, it has to start with us. That even if we make a mistake, we actually take responsibility for it and actually say to that police officer, manzeni ukweli afande ni ukweli nimefanya makosa, nipatie kitabu ni kama niyo fine nilipe, tupelekane court. But you find Kenyans have created shortcuts into everything.
Hiyo ni sisi.
Yeah, and that's it's the hardest truth that we have. That unajua hata sahi with the passport issues. Do you know how much corruption is going on at Nyayo to the point even it has become like a mini pandemic in the country that you can't actually uwezi apply passport na itoke tu venye inafaa kutoka. You have to pay somebody, because I had a story that most of the people who are kicked out from Nyayo, who the officials, they were charging for 30,000. Imagine passport umeapply 6.5, 32 pages. And then somebody tells you ati kitaka kutoka haraka nichotee hii pesa. So you're wondering, passport is my right as a Kenyan, I need to have. Why should I pay that kind of amount of money to get a document that the constitution has made it publicly and legally clear that I have to have and it's my right? Why? So you find out that first of all, corruption exceeds because of impoverished societies in terms of poverty levels. I'm not saying Kenya is poor, but some people who are living day to day. You understand? The other thing, corruption also, it's because of nepotism.
Absolutely.
And nepotism is also corruption because you end up employing people in government who are your family members. Or corruption is also based on also ethnic lines. Unajua nikiweka mtu wetu pale ni hivyo. Let me give you an example of the current government. Walikuwa wanasema sahi Kenya Kwanza in the government right now, a huge percentage is Kalenjin, Kikuyu, sijui, and then the rest of the communities there, because they are the two. So you're wondering, are most of those people there because they qualified to be there, or they're put there so that they can actually make sure some deals go into place?
Yeah,
exactly.
Actually, I think, just for me and just to clarify for a lot of people, I do believe some people were qualified. I really do. Because some of their CVs are really loud. But also some, unangalia uko, huyu. I remember there was recently just the vetting of the high commissions, the ambassador, and there was one for Goma.
Oh yeah, the Congo, the one ambassador who was supposed to go to Congo.
Nothing. Had you anything about that country particularly? And I think now, just with the president now, like Ali Ascent today, akumpea. Alitolewa, because vetting yake I think was too embarrassing. It was just like, sir, just go home. What is that? Like, surely, hata ujui country unaenda, like, what's that? And I think particularly about corruption is like, the bad thing about corruption is when you hana ya kupeana, it literally strips off your humanity. Because if you hear someone's story of like, oh, guess what, I was raped, and when I went to report at the police station, imagine mimi nakuja na mashida zangu kukuambia, and then unaniambia you have to pay something. Am I stupid? Are you stupid? Like, what is that? That's just nonsense, honestly. That's just a stupid question, a stupid scenario. And that's what I was saying. For us, corruption, I don't know where it will actually be an end like this unless there's like a radical, like the hanging one. Kwa sababu, it made a dip, like all the way kutoka huko juu to like chin, to like chief, to like to our homes, like down. it's that deep.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the solution will be like radical changes such as hanging.
And I think, and to some extent, I agree to it. And also, this is a call also to our members of parliament that they are the one who makes these laws and actually put it to the president. The only thing the president does is actually send it into law. Why would one MP, why would one women rep, one senator actually come up with a bill that actually addresses this once and for all? And one thing, and I want to put it out there, is to empower the judiciary. There's one thing when the judiciary has independence that you can actually have faith in it. Judiciaries around the world, some of them are not perfect, but they are functionable, like the states one. Yes, it's not perfect. Of course, some things don't go the way they want, but you know, when you commit a certain crime, my friend, you're going to jail. You can't escape the law, and you have to put it like that. I think government needs to come up with a structure in terms of how the judiciary, first of all, can become empowered. That is in terms of employing more judges, employing more magistrates to actually cover. Because some people, if you go to other counties around the country, justice is not served there properly. There's no proper courts. There's no like people actually serving the judiciary there. And I feel if the judiciary is actually empowered in the sense of it can't be affected by the executive, trust you me, corruption can actually
a monopoly of power across the three arms of government. And I think that's a good one. But the bad thing is, I think factually it's corruption imeenda kwa zote. So hakuna MP atakuja aseme let's tutoi ikue law that someone should be hanged because yeye mwenyewe ni corrupt first of all. Na hata akisema hivyo na yeye mwenyewe she's not corrupt or he's not corrupt, might actually even be silenced in other ways of like mbona unafanya hivyo. I think that's now where we can't move forward as a nation specifically.
But I think I have hope for Gen Z. Gen Z in the sense of we are those people who actually we root out what's fake. Like it's like an artistic thing God gave us. Like we can just see this guy is fake. And I think the leaders who are coming up, our generation and also the generation coming after us, we have to stand and actually say no to it. And there's a cost to it. The problem is we want a country that is corruption free, but no one wants to pay the cost for it.
Oh gosh, that's so true.
No one wants to pay the cost for it. You get? You want to see corruption end, be the first one to actually stand against it. And even to the point of even worse, death. Because some things have to die so that things can resurrect again.
A rebuke for me. Don't die.
But you see, someone has to actually take initiative and actually say, this starts with me. It has been there, but it has to end with me. And I'm supposed to take responsibility for it. And I think you just need one part. You don't need 10 people. You don't need actually 1,000 people to change a nation. You just need that guy who actually stands and says, I'm the one to actually end corruption in my nation and actually believe it and actually say it.
I think that's really amazing. To go too radical, like I think the country in Asia, Myanmar just sentenced, what's her name? Aung San Suu for 33 years in jail.
She was a billionaire actually.
And how old is she currently?
I think she's in her 50s.
That's a 33.
So she was a billionaire and then she found like she did a lot of shady business. Too much shady business. And I think that notion that I'm rich, I'm a dollar millionaire, no one can touch me, finally caught up with her. And you can Waswahili husema siku za mwezi ni ngapi? 40. Siku yako itafika. Na siku itafika itakuwa aibu kwako peke yako na familia yako.
Absolutely. So I think it's just a call to like all politicians who maybe would have watched this or like you just know anyone. And I think it's particularly like this is a serious matter of like what you're doing is not only affecting you, but it's affecting thousands behind you.
Millions.
And even how young people, sometimes politicians like want attention from the young people, the younger generation. Si tukiwaangalia hivi na mnaiba, watu watafika hapo waibe hata times 50 because they're like, kama leader yangu amefika hapo na yeye alitoka from nothing and in a year has even bought an island or something like that. You know, it's just really dumb for you to say that you're empowering young people. And then you're still doing the opposite of what you want these same young people to look like. Like what's the culture around that? And
I can give like a figure. I think during the previous administration, the US ambassador was actually, I think, on JK Live and was talking to Jeff and he said, Kenya loses $8 billion every year. $8 billion. Sahi na inflation rate ya sahi, that translates to around 130 billion, like even more, like that's a lot of, like almost $1 billion, like almost 1 trillion Kenyan shillings. So you can imagine if the country puts systems in place and structure and policies in place to actually curb corruption in government, how much money can we be saving? You can imagine $8 billion what it can do. For right now, we need money because the flood is actually sweeping a lot of things, to buy food, to buy whatever, to actually put more money into the private sector and manufacture, so that people can even get jobs.
Yeah.
You can imagine that whole money, $8 billion, goes to people's pockets.
What watawanaibu surely.
$8 billion goes to people's pockets. So you can imagine, if you actually become serious as a nation, put structures in place. Kenya is actually a very wealthy country.
It is.
Kenya is very wealthy. If you put East Africa and Central Africa, we are a very wealthy nation in terms of GDP.
Kenya.
So you can imagine, curb corruption, there's endless possibilities on what Kenyans can do.
Yeah.
And you find Kenyans actually want change.
Yeah.
That's why I said, you just need one man to stand and say, it ends with me.
Yeah. And just added on this, and I mean, this can be actually very, maybe I can get a lot of slack for this. I can get a lot of reactions, but I mean, I've gotten before, just speaking my own mind. But I actually believe that President Ruto is still on the right track in what he's doing. I actually still believe so. I still have hope for President Ruto's regime. Like, niko na hope na President wenyu. And I have not been paid to say this, but I still do believe, I still have hope that the Kenya Kwanza government is on track in what they'll do. Maybe kuna some places that, have not gone the way that we had perceived, but I actually think President Ruto is mindful of the Kenyan people.
Yeah. And I think even if he's whether or not you believe in him or not, I won't say my stance because
I will say mine.
Yeah, I will not say mine, but what I believe is, if he fails, we all fail.
Absolutely.
If he succeeds, we all succeed. And that's the fact about it. We went to the ballot, we voted, and he won. Fair and square. And we are here now. We can't focus on the past. So the best thing to do, the most logical thing to do, is actually to wish him for the best. Because if he fails, you fail. Your family fails. Everything about you fails.
Yeah.
If he succeeds, you succeed. Your business succeeds. Everything about you succeeds. Because at the end of the day, he's the last man in defense, making sure we either go downhill, we either go Titanic mode, or we actually fly out of space and actually achieve endless possibilities.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Oscar, for joining me. Such an exciting conversation. I think all people will have to watch this. Gen Z, all generations, Gen X, baby boomers. Thank you for joining us in our episode on why are all politicians perceived as corrupt. See you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.